So, the Kaminoans were introduced in Attack of the Clones as the species which created the clone army. But what were they? Hello and welcome back to Vault Holocron. I'm Jonathan, and today we will be discussing the Kaminoans. The Kaminoans were a tall and slender species of amphibians, with white skin, oblong heads, long necks, and large black eyes with white pupils, which allowed them to see into the ultraviolet light spectrum. The males also had fin-like crests on their heads, while the females were bald, wearing unique head crescents. Kaminoans entered adulthood at 11 years old. Kaminoans were also a very closed-off species, not often interacting with other species, and believing everything they needed was on Kamino. They were also unaccepting of help from other planets. The reason for their isolated nature wasn't due to any belief that they were a superior species though, but instead due to the belief that other species and planets were a distraction. Anyway, now I've discussed what the Kaminoans were, I'm going to look into Kaminoan history. The Kaminoans were at one point a land-based species, not living on the water as we see in Attack of the Clones. However, as Kamino left an ice age, the ice on the planet began to melt, and the sea levels rose. This meant that the Kaminoans moved to higher ground, but the issue was still too much, leading to the development of high cities which sat above the ocean. To get between these cities, the Kaminoans rode on the backs of Aiwas, also known as air whales. Despite the flooding, the Kaminoans refused the help of other planets, believing that it would be too risky to accept help, as while vulnerable the Kaminoans could be colonized, stolen from, and have their culture altered. The Kaminoans also adapted themselves, and their flora and fauna, in response to the changes on Kamino. Later, the Kaminoans became known in the galactic underworld for their skills in engineering and genetic engineering, and they did a lot of work in cloning. Eventually, the Jedi Sifo-Dyas visited Kamino, requesting a large clone army to be used by the Republic, but Dooku had him killed by the Pike Syndicate, leaving the Sith in control of the army. Kenobi then later discovered the clone army when tracking Jango Fett, leading to the Republic using the army in their new war with the Confederacy of Independent Systems. During the Clone Wars, the Kaminoans gained a seat in the Galactic Senate due to their presence now being known and their important role in providing clones. However, in creating the clone army, they did also make themselves a target for the Separatists. For example, in 21 BBY, the Confederacy of Independent Systems attacked Kamino in the Battle of Kamino, which left the planet quite damaged, but the Separatists were ultimately unsuccessful in destroying the cloning facilities. Later in the Clone Wars, the Kaminoans also faced another issue, this time with the Republic. Clone Trooper Tup's inhibitor chip malfunctioned, causing him to execute Order 66 early, which risked the Republic finding out the truth. Clone Trooper 5s actually discovered the truth, but Palpatine and the Kaminoans managed to prevent the Republic learning of it, with the evidence, in the form of 5's and Tup's inhibitor chips, being sent to Nala Se, who gave it to Dooku to be destroyed. Order 66 was eventually carried out successfully, and the Clone Wars came to an end, but this brought with it more problems for the Kaminoans. Now that the war was over, Palpatine was no longer interested in having a clone army, instead hoping to use enlisted soldiers. This was bad news for the Kaminoans, who wished to continue business with the Empire. Lama Su believed that they needed a new genetic template, but the Kaminoans didn't manage to preserve their relationship with the Empire, leading to the destruction of every known facility on Kamino by the Empire. After this, the Kaminoans were rarely seen throughout the galaxy, and some joined the rebellion, although their relationships with other rebels wasn't exactly easy, due to the species' role in the rise of the Empire, and their absence of morals in medical matters. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this dive into the Kaminoans, and we hope to see you later at Vault Holocron.